welcome back to another video. My name's Mayanthi, I'm a qualified counsellor, and I make videos all about how I became a counsellor and what you might want to know if you're looking to become a counsellor as well. So just before we get started, I would love it if you can hit the subscribe button and join my little YouTube family if you haven't already. So we were just away on a little weekend staycation and we just got back, and I thought I wanted to film a quick video, another little Q&A, because that was my previous video. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you go back and watch it. And I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that I've had since then. So the first one was, hi, I just completed my diploma in counselling, and as far as I know, I can register with ACA level 1, so that's the Australian Counselling Association, then do supervised work to get more levels. So hopefully I can get registered. That's right, I think you are correct. So if you've done the diploma, you should be able to register with ACA as like a provisional counsellor, and then once you work in the field, get hours and do supervision, then you should be able to kind of grow your registration from there. And again, it just depends on what kind of counselling work you want to do, what kind of organisation you want to work in, and that will depend on what registration level you need. So just make sure you're talking to the organisation that you're working with to see what they require as well. So one of the other questions I got was, I'm planning a career change. I've got a bachelor in another field. Would you say a diploma first, then applying for masters would be the best pathway? So I actually want to make another video, a separate video on different pathways of getting into counselling and psychology. So I might hold off of answering that question for now. But I guess a short version to answer that question is a diploma would probably be a good pathway, especially if you haven't done a bachelor in kind of a relevant field. It really depends what your bachelor was in. And then getting into the masters, whether it's counselling or psychology, that would also depend on if you do the diploma or if you have to do a bachelor's in a relevant degree. So we'll look at that in another video as well. So the last question I want to address is, hi, I'm a Bachelor of Social Work graduate who's interested in counselling. So I was thinking to go ahead with the Masters in Counselling. But as you mentioned, social workers and clinical psychologists are given more job opportunities. What would you recommend if I want to become a therapist who wants to work in a clinical setting? So with this one, it depends what you're referring to when you say therapist. So therapist in Australia can kind of refer to a counsellor or a psychologist. In America, generally psychologists are referred to as therapists. So the word therapist is more of an American word. So in Australia, it really depends on, do you want to be known as a counsellor or do you want to be a psychologist? So counsellors and psychologists are generally the ones who work in clinical type settings versus social workers who generally work in more community-based organisations. So I would recommend going down the counselling or psychology path. Again, like I've said and like you've watched, I do recommend psychology and becoming a psychologist because you are more recognised, you will get more job opportunities, and you'll probably earn a higher income. But the pathway to get there is a little bit harder versus if you want to be a counsellor and work in a clinical setting as a counsellor, you can do that. And then that's when you would want to study the Master of Counselling. So that would be my recommendation. If you're kind of not exactly sure, I always suggest go with counselling, study that, work in the field for a little bit, and then decide, do you want to go on to do psychology and become a psychologist? Again, if you have the time and if you just want to kind of trial things, that's probably what I would suggest. But you also need to think about, are you paying for the course? Is it getting added to your HECS debt? How will that impact your lifestyle? So there's a lot of factors that you want to think about. It's not just deciding, I want to study this, I want to become this, and going and doing it. Obviously, that's the main part, knowing what you want to do, but it can impact on those other things, as I said, like HECS debt or funding your studies, and then that could impact on your lifestyle as well. So hopefully that was helpful for you. If any of you have any other questions that you'd like me to answer in future videos, leave them down below and I will get on to answering them. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. And just before I go, if you like this video, make sure to hit the little thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.